Hi, I'm Cecilia Evelyn Unwin. Here is what I'd like you to remember about me. And my Unwin family. I was born July 3, 1896, in Christchurch, New Zealand. My father was Frederick Branston Unwin and my mother, Mary Martina Going. Both born in Christchurch. Mary Martina's parents were John Going, born in Wavendon, Buckinghamshire, England, and Catherine Mary Dillon, born in Galway, Ireland. The history of my father's Unwin ancestors is very interesting. The Unwin, or Unwin, name is of Flemish origin and by the 1600s had been established in Essex, England for several generations. Some ancestors that are interesting historically include Morley Unwin and his wife Mary, née Cawthorne, who were friends of the poet, William Cowper. Also their son, William Cawthorne Unwin. My early Unwin ancestors include Thomas Unwin, born about 1475 in Steeple Bumpstead, Essex, England. A third great-grandson of Thomas, born 1475, was another Thomas, who was the vicar of Belchamp, St. Paul's, a village in the Braintree district of Essex. There was also the Rev. William Jordan Unwin, principal of Homerton Congregational College, London, and his son, Professor William Cawthorne Unwin, a civil and mechanical engineer noted for his work on hydraulics and engines. Also part of our Unwin family was Sir Stanley Unwin and his son, Rayner Unwin. Sir Stanley Unwin was a British publisher. Founder of the George Allen and Unwin Publishing House in 1914. His son Rayner Unwin, aged 10, wrote a report on the manuscript for J.R.R. Tolkien's The Hobbit that was responsible for Sir Stanley publishing the book. Sir Stanley requested Tolkien write a sequel which resulted in The Lord of the Rings. Howard Unwin Moffat, who served as second Premier of Southern Rhodesia. Howard Unwin Moffat was the third great-grandson of Thomas Unwin b. 1700. My Unwin family were nonconformists. The Unwin family, and families into which the Unwins married, played a big part in the Coggeshall, Essex, independent church in the 1700s and 1800s. My second great-grandfather was Stephen Unwin, who was the third great-grandson of Thomas, the vicar of Belchamp. Stephen married Sarah Branston in 1802, and since then the name Branston has been passed on through the Unwin family members up to my son Alan, born in 1936. Sarah Branston's mother was Mary Blumfield. Blumfield family members are well known in New Zealand through a relative, Charles Blumfield. Charles painted the famous pink and white terraces, Rotomahana, before their destruction in the Mount Tarawera eruption, 1886. He also painted numerous other landscapes. My great-great-grandfather Stephen and his wife Sarah had 6 children. Their fourth child, a son, named Branston, was my grandfather. He was born the 22nd of July 1808 in Coggeshall, Essex, and later married Sarah Walford. They emigrated to South Australia in 1841 on the ship, Duke of Sussex. They purchased land in the Torrens area near Walkerville. Now part of Adelaide, Branston established a vineyard. He was one of the earliest makers of wine in the area. Sarah and Branston had 2 sons. Frederick Fisher and Branston, Jr. Frederick Fisher was a school teacher. Frederick conducted the state school in Walkerville and later at Maitland. He married Emily Packard. Frederick passed away 1880, age 43. Branston, Jr., my grandfather, was the champion swimmer of the area. He married Jane Drew in 1870. Jane had come to Australia from Devon, England. Branston and Jane came on to Christchurch, New Zealand, and they had 5 children, all born in Christchurch. Sarah Elizabeth, Frederick Branston, my father, Walford, William Herbert and Charles Fisher. Branston, Sr., and Sarah also came on to Christchurch, New Zealand to follow their son. This was after the death of Branston's other son Frederick in 1880. Branston, Sr., obviously wanted to be with family. He passed away in Christchurch in 1888. Sarah lived on until 1890. My father Frederick Branston married my mother Mary Martina Going the 27th of November 1895 at the Church of Most Blessed Sacrament, Christchurch. Frederick Branston and Mary Matilda had 3 children. I was the first, followed by Charles Branston, John and Henry Fisher, known as Harry. I married Alfred Scott on August 20, 1919, at age 23 in Christchurch. Alfred was born in 1895 in Christchurch. We had 4 sons. Our firstborn was Alfred Frederick in 1920. Ronald Charles Henry was born 1922, Raymond Herald in 1924, and Alan Branston, a late Arneville, in 1936. Alfred married Charlotte Reed in 1952. Ron married Hazel Tregenning in 1943. Ray married Noah Drummond in 1953 and Alan married another Scott when he married Margaret Elizabeth and Scott in 1961. Alfred and I had 9 wonderful grandchildren. From our son Alfred and his wife Charlotte we had David, Linda and Jeffrey. From our son Ronald and wife Hazel we had Patricia. We had Paul from our son Raymond and his wife Noah. And finally, we had Robin, Jeanette, Gary and Raylene from our son Alan. And his wife Margaret. I passed away the 19th of June 1959 in Christchurch Hospital. Alfred died the 26th of June 1960. Earlier in 1960 Alfred's mother Grace had also passed away age 87. 3 of the family within 1 year. However, we had all lived satisfying lives and had wonderful families. I'm so glad I got to share my deep story with you. The family continues. Thanks so much for watching. Goodbye.